Hope you guys are doing well today. What day is it? Today is Thursday. So today I'm talking about how to nurture your inner child. I think that's what I called it. So if you guys are watching live this morning, please say hello so I can say hi back to you. And then if you're watching on the replay, just hashtag replay and I'll make sure I come back on later and say hi to you then. And where is my video? I don't see it coming up yet. So a couple housekeeping things before we get started. If you guys are watching this on Facebook, head on over to YouTube when this video is done. Type in my first and last name and then hit the subscribe button and the bell to receive notifications for every time that I come live. On my YouTube channel, you will find over 100 videos, you guys, of self-love topics like this one, some yoga videos, meditations, self-love interviews with other like-minded women, all sorts of cool stuff on there. So be sure to go head on over there and hit the subscribe button and the bell. So how to nurture our inner child, or taking care of our inner child. That's what I called it. So this one is super important, I think, too. Well, all the things that I talk about are important. So just to give you guys a little bit of a little bit of a definition of inner child, because I know if you're not familiar with the term or what it is or why we want to take care of it, our inner child is just that child within ourselves that allows us, that's a part of our personality. So who we are today is, there's a part of us within us that is still that inner child, and part of our personality is from who we were and what we've experienced when we were a child. So it's important to connect to your inner child and to nurture your inner child, even as adults. And so we need to, as adults, take care of that inner person that we were. So I'm just going to go through a couple kind of little practices that you guys could start to do to kind of start to take care of that inner child, and then some journal prompts at the end to kind of help you to kind of take that experience one step further. There is so much work out there for inner child work if you look it up, if it's something that interests you. So it's really, it's overwhelming. So these are just some tips I've kind of compiled on some ways you can start to kind of take care of yourself in that way. So the first way that I love to do is one of my favorite ways is to do a body scan. So body scan is a part of like meditation or that kind of thing. So tapping into your physical sensations, so things that you're feeling in your body. And so when you're connecting to your inner child, it requires you to go inward, right? Rather than seeking distraction in times of emotional intensity. And so we just want to kind of like close our eyes and visualize your kind of little self and just ask yourself some questions like, what are you feeling? What do you need right now? And just see what comes up for you, right? So just doing that little kind of body scan, noticing, let's say you're feeling stressed right now and you're feeling that stress in your belly, let's say, and then just listening to kind of that little voice inside of maybe connecting it to when was a time when you were little that you might have felt that same way. And so then with that, kind of going towards the whole thing of, what do you need right now, and how are you feeling, right? And then another way we can connect to our inner child is by being creative, which is another love of mine, is to kind of there's a couple different things you can do. You could draw, you could paint, you could just make art and kind of have it in mind that it's reflecting your inner child. So what are some things that you did creatively when you were smaller, when you were little, growing up, on things that you could maybe come back to now and kind of experience them as an adult and just notice the difference? Like, for example, something that I used to do when I was little is one of my kind of creative avenues was painting. I loved painting. So I would sit there and paint for hours, and I would sometimes have like the paint by numbers, or sometimes I would have I would just paint from a picture or whatever it would be. And so just trying to think back to those times when you were smaller of things that you enjoyed doing creatively, and maybe come back to those things and just see how it feels. And that's really taking care of your inner child, because those were things that you used to love that as adults, we don't take time for those things always when we're grown-ups. So it's important to come back to that feeling of play. And that's a really fun exercise that I think we should all try and do more of. And then another way that we can take care of our inner child is by writing a letter to our inner child. And I've done this before, and it's really it's a powerful experience as well. It allows you to kind of connect to and maybe forgive yourself for things that you might have, how you've were treated when you were little, or how you treated yourself, and just kind of come to a place of peace. And just writing a letter to your child, maybe saying, I'm sorry that I treated you this way, or I'm sorry these things happened to you, but look how far you've come, and look the person you've grown into, and that you are strong and brave, and just telling your inner child the things that you maybe needed to hear when you were smaller, that you maybe didn't hear or you weren't listening to. So I think that's a really important exercise to do too. And then I'm a big believer in like mantras or affirmations, and how that kind of helps us to connect to that inner part of our brain that may have been like misfiring before, on just like speaking positively to yourself, right? And so I like to think of some things like to nurture or take care of your inner child. Some mantras or intentions or affirmations like you are safe, I'm here to take care of you, just those kind of things to help you to connect to that level of your inner self. All right, and then I have a couple more tips for you guys. So when we're talking about taking care of our inner child, it's super important to practice setting boundaries. These are things that we as adults still struggle with, and things that we struggled with when we were younger too. But doing your inner child a favor by really starting to set boundaries to take care of yourself. And then also with that, building kind of healthier routines, because, you know, a part of loving ourselves and nurturing our inner child is the self-care piece, which leads into my next kind of point, that practicing self-care and taking care of yourself and kind of coming it from a perspective, if we're talking about inner child work, of coming from the perspective of taking care of yourself with self-care as if you are your own parent. So thinking of yourself as a parent and doing the things to make sure that you're being taken care of. So looking at your life, and like in my signature program that I'm launching this fall, we are really talking about like the 6 areas of self-care and how to make sure that we're taking care of all those different areas, because they, you know, self-care can be typically looked at as like the pampering and the, you know, the massages and the facials and the manicures and the pedicures and all that stuff. But what we don't maybe always sometimes think about is that our self-care is so much more than that. Like that's only one branch out of the 6 branches of self-care. And so really practicing self-care is such a big part, and kind of treating yourself as your own parent and making sure that you're kind of fulfilling all those different areas. So that's kind of my little tips on how to take care of your inner child. I hope that was helpful. Now we're going to move into a couple journal prompts to kind of take this a little bit further. We did kind of talk about writing a letter to your inner child and doing that kind of stuff. But just some prompts for you guys if you are interested in this, if you want to write it down or come back later, pause the video and like write it down then. So a couple journal prompts that we could do for taking care of our inner child is, the first one would be to do something I am judging, blaming, or shaming myself over is blank. So writing about the things that you may be blaming, shaming, or judging yourself for, and just writing that down and seeing what comes up for you. And I always encourage people to free write and just write what comes down on paper. Sometimes it doesn't even have to make sense. Just getting it out is, I think, a therapy in itself. So really just kind of putting it out there on anything that you feel like you're blaming, shaming, or judging yourself for, or write it down and just release it, let it go. And then another journaling prompt that we can use when we're talking about taking care of our inner child is to say, I want to forgive myself so I can feel blank. So when we're talking about this, it can be things that you maybe need to forgive yourself for, on either ways that you may have treated yourself in the past, or ways that you have taken care of or not taken care of your body, whatever it is. So maybe it's I need to forgive myself for this, so I can feel peaceful, so I can feel safe, so I can feel nurtured, anything that you may be coming up for you. And just writing down what that feels like when you are able to forgive yourself for that. And then my last little journaling tip for you guys is to talk about what your inner child needed. So my inner child needed, so maybe it was safety, maybe it was love, maybe it was validation, maybe it was reassurance or empathy or nurturing. So just taking that moment to figure out and write down what your inner child needed. So things that you may, reflecting on your life, on things that you may have needed as a child, that maybe you can give yourself now, and just filling that kind of piece of yourself that you felt that wasn't fulfilled as a child, and just think about some ways you can do that now. So I hope that was helpful, talking about some inner child stuff and how to kind of take care and heal and nurture that inner child that we all have inside of us. So if you guys are like what I'm talking about on here and you want to be a more intimate part of my community, I have a group called Imperfectly Perfect You. And you can type it in imperfectlyperfectyou.ca and it'll come up. We are a free community and it is just empowering women to find self-love at any size through many different holistic and mystic approaches. And we are called Imperfectly Perfect You. So the link to that group is in the description of this video, and we would love to welcome you into that space and help you to shine and just find that self-love for yourself that we sometimes neglect, right? So yeah, that group is, I love it in there. It's my favorite place to be. And then what else should I share with you guys? I have a program launching this fall. It's launching in probably the next 2 weeks, you guys. I'm so close. I'm so excited. It's called the Self-Love Revolution with Martina, and it is a program that is a lifetime group coaching program that to help you do exactly what my mission is to empower women to find self-love at any size through many different holistic approaches. So this is just a really deep dive and a personal, a personal journey that I will be taking with you to kind of help you to build your confidence, your self-esteem, your self-worth, shine your light like you were always meant to shine, find self-love at any size, have a lot of different body positive practices. We do a lot of deep dive into chakra work, yoga, meditation, self-care practices, like I said, and really just having me as your personal cheerleader forever and ever. Amen. So if that is a program that sounds interesting to you, the link to just take a sneak peek at that program is the link to go to my website is in the description of this video. And be sure to watch the little trailer video and just learn about a little bit more about what it has to offer for you. The first 10 people in that program will be getting I think it's 40% off of the program. So it's a super big discount that people will be receiving if you're the first 10. So make sure you're on. I have a couple people on the list, so if you want to be one of the first 10, message me the word self-love and I'll make sure that you are one of the 10 to get that discount. Or at least have the possibility to get that discount if it's something that you are interested in. And yeah, so that's coming up very soon, and I'm super excited about it. It's like my baby. I've been working so hard on it, you guys. And yeah, so I hope this was helpful. Thanks for anybody who is watching. I see a couple of you on there. I see Auntie Kay, and Bev. So thank you guys for popping in. And so I hope you guys have the best day, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care.